Yeah, you can unmute me if you want. We're good to go? All right. Hi, guys. Thanks for logging on with us here for our first Farm to School cooking class. We're super excited. And this month we're featuring the Persimmon Salsa, which has been available through the cafeteria. So we're pretty pumped to partner with them because they gave you guys these cute little bags that have all the produce you need for the salsa, or maybe you went and picked it up on your own, but they're awesome. It has everything in there, a little persimmon. So we will get to talking about persimmons and everything that goes into the salsa. But first, I want you guys to go around and introduce yourself. Tell us what school you're from, because we have not seen you in so long and we miss all of our students. So we want to hear who we have students here from. Do you want to call on people, Anna? That's probably easiest. We have Anna working the Zoom over here.
We do. How about Alondra? Do you want to say hello? And we would love to see you guys. So you guys can unmute your cameras if you want. And tell us what school you're from. Or maybe Haukea. Hello. Haukea is one of my summer school students. She's brilliant.
Hi.
I'm sure you're doing great in your fall semester.
Yeah, I'm from Rio Mesa.
We're filming today at Rio Mesa. Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, I can tell.
And let us use her classroom.
We're very grateful.
And let's see, Josue, what school are you from?
From Wainimi.
Yay, Wainimi. I want to see if we have someone here from every site.
That's the goal. Let's see, who else? Brianna?
I'm from Wainimi.
Hello.
Wainimi, all right. What teacher do we have to give credit? How did you guys hear about the cooking class?
At Wainimi. Was it Miss Buen? Maybe. Yes, no? To be continued. We also have Jaylee here today. Hi, Jaylee. Aww. I love you're in your kitchen, aren't you? How cute. I love your curtains.
Love it.
And we have Principal LaBelle. Thank you for joining us from
Woo!
Camarillo. Woo!
Thank you for having me.
Look at your background. It's like you're cooking on the football field.
That's right.
Oh, is that what it is?
My kitchen's a little dirty, so I got here as soon as I could, but I threw a background up.
Oh, thanks for joining us. We're so excited you're here.
Thank you.
And so far, I think we've got everybody. Christina.
Hi, I'm Christina Magallanes. I'm a teacher at Pacifica High School.
Hi, welcome. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so as they come in, as students come in, we'll have Anna go ahead and she can interrupt me. We'll have the students introduce themselves and what school they're from. So far we have Wainimi, Rio Mesa, Camarillo, Pacifica.
Oxnard.
Oxnard. All right, we got 5. That's pretty good. I'm happy. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and make a persimmon salsa today. I'm sure all of you have had salsa before, but have you had fruit salsa? And if so, what are your favorite types of fruit salsas that you have had? And you guys can chat. We wanna talk to you, so feel free to respond.
Like mango salsa? Has anybody ever had mango?
Yeah, those are good.
Mm-hmm. Or pineapple salsa.
I love pineapple salsa.
I do too, yeah.
Yeah, so persimmons. Is there anyone here who has not had a persimmon before and this is going to be their first persimmon experience? I hear crickets, which tells me everyone's had a persimmon, hopefully.
Mm-hmm. I bet there's some newcomers. Josue's never had one.
Okay, all right, Josue, you're going to be very delighted. This is a Fuyu persimmon. There's 2 types of persimmons. The Fuyus here look kind of just like an orange tomato, and you can eat them like pretty much from any state. The other type of persimmon is called a haichia, and they look more like a heart shape, like a big almond. And we have to wait till they get super, super, super soft to be able to, well, you can eat them earlier. They just don't taste as great. They kind of give you a little bit of cotton mouth. So those are better to wait till they're super soft. And a lot of people bake with the Hychia persimmons because of that, where these are super easy to cut and you don't have to wait as long for them to get ripe. So we're gonna put that in our salsa today. This is our harvest of the month for November. We love using this one because a lot of people have not had persimmon. So just to give you guys a new experience here. And then you should have an apple. If it's this dang cute, you're so lucky because look how cute this little apple is. So we have a green apple we're gonna put into the persimmon salsa. You might have a different shade of an apple, and that's okay too. And if you are missing an ingredient, feel free to let me know and it'll still be good, I promise. But we're here to help get everyone through this. We have a lime, so we're gonna juice the lime, right, to put into our salsa. And then in your little bag here, you should have either a whole jalapeno or a half. It just depends on probably the size that the cafeteria got. Some little onion pieces, maybe a quarter onion. It all just, again, it depends on what size onions they had. Each site might be a little bit different. And some cilantro. We have some fresh cilantro. I could smell that. Does everyone here like cilantro?
Yeah.
For the most part? It's kind of a love-hate. I feel like some people really like it and some people.
Mr. LaBelle is new to Persimmon also.
All right, Mr. LaBelle. And then we also have a little packet of dried cranberries for you guys that are gonna go into the salsa as well. So as we get going here, just a few things we want to talk about is knife safety. Those of us that are going to be cooking while you're watching this, please be very, very careful. Okay. And when we're using a knife, we want to make sure we have like a good grip around the handle here. And then we are holding it on both sides of the blade on the base here. This gives us the most control of the knife. You have no fingers slipping underneath, right? But that way we can be in control. The other thing we want to make sure we're doing is claw and saw. So this is just an easy way to remember. And you can rest the knife there up against your knuckle if you'd like. But the point of this is to, one, keep your food steady while you're cutting it, but also so you don't get the little ends of your fingers, right? We want to keep those safe and behind the knife. That's why when you watch those cooking shows, like then chefs won't even be looking at their food, right? They're looking at the camera, they're talking to somebody else, but they can do it super, super quickly because they've had years of practice, right? I used to be a little quicker with it. So that's very important. Always put the knife down on the cutting board or on the counter somewhere where it's going to be safe as you're moving around. And yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So let's start with the persimmon. We do not want to eat the green top, right? But luckily inside of here, there's usually not any seeds or anything. So what we're going to do is just go ahead and cut off the top of this persimmon here. So it should come off pretty easily like that. If you have a compost, you can have a little bowl, stick the scraps in there, and then you can put it to the compost later. But if you look in there, yeah, there's usually not any seeds. Every once in a while, there might be one, but for the most part, these are pretty seedless. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna dice this into a small dice so that just like other salsa, like a pico de gallo, this is kind of like a pico de gallo, is it's gonna be a lot easier for us to eat afterwards. So we want to go ahead and chop your persimmon up. This one went into 4 little pieces. Take your time moving across it. They might stick to each other. So just make sure you're taking your time to see. I like to cut it into strips first. I just think it makes it easier to handle. And then I'll move it to go back the other way to make it nice and uniform in size. Okay, so this is a small dice. It's a nice little piece there. We got a little clear bowl I have here for you today so that we can see what we're making. So as you chop up your persimmon, that's a good size right there. And we'll just shoot for everything else to be that same size and go ahead and put it in your bowl there. If you have not tried persimmon before, this is a good chance to try it and taste how sweet it is. It's super yummy. Let us know what you think. Should we take a break and ask people some questions? Yeah. as we're going to give you guys, as we go through this, just we're going to take about a minute or so to chop. And please unmute and ask me if you have questions. Those of you that are new to persimmon, I want to know if you like it or how you think it tastes.
Should we go around if you're cooking? Do you guys want to show us your chop on your persimmon? You guys want to show us what you're cutting up? Who's gonna be brave? Where's Jaylee? Jaylee in her kitchen.
Yeah, so nice thing about this is
Josue's showing us
that whole thing
Let's
we
check
can
it out.
eat.
Oh, and Jaylee's showing us too. Yay.
How do they look? They look good?
They look good.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you for sharing, you guys. Okay, so as we move on from our persimmon, do you guys need a little more time or are we good to go?
Any persimmon questions?
We'll get into some nutrition about persimmon.
This is a
as we're
really fun
chopping.
recipe to bust out at Thanksgiving next week for impress your family. Just putting it out there.
So we're gonna move on to our little apple. Your apple might be larger. The one I had brought was massive compared to this little guy, but that's fine. You know, like other salsas as well, you can't really mess it up. You can always add a little more of something, add a little less of something, and you're still gonna get pretty much the same flavor. So when we're cutting our apple, the core, obviously we don't want to eat. So what I like to do is to cut off the one side. All right. And then I put it on the flat part so that then I can cut just around the core there. So just making the 4 easy cuts around the core. We have the core. I'll chop the core in half to go into the compost. That's the only reason, for the worms to break it down. But so I have these little pieces of apple. So we still want to try to aim for like roughly the same size of the persimmon. It's not gonna hurt it if it's too big or not exact, but the idea is so that then when you go to get a bite, you're gonna have everything in the same size, so you get nice equal amounts. So you're still gonna cut about as big as you had your pieces for the persimmon. I like to cut them like this, and then again into the little, I guess, matchsticks, you could call it. For me, that's an easier way to gauge to make sure I'm getting everything around the same size. So we're still using the claw and saw. And then we're gonna go through. So that's pretty close. So we're gonna go through and then add this to your persimmons as well. Does anybody have a different color apple besides green? I prefer, yeah.
I think in this recipe, it brings out a really good flavor.
Yeah, if you only had a Fuji at home or Honeycrisp or Red, I mean, they all will work. With this particular recipe, I do think green is the best, but if I've made it with a Fuji because that was what I had, and it still didn't last very long in the fridge. The whole thing was pretty much eaten in one sitting. So go ahead and finish cutting up your apple. Take your time. If you have a large apple like I had shown before, you could use half of it. You want to have about equal parts apple to persimmon. So that's something to keep in mind there. So the awesome thing about persimmons is they are super high in vitamin C. So now I'm going to ask you what vitamin C does, if anybody knows. Why do we need vitamin C?
And we have a newcomer, Kristen Aguilar.
Hi.
Vitamin C does a lot of things, right?
So mainly for our immunity. I'm sure we've heard to drink the orange juice, but we can also get that from other things such as the persimmon. So that orange is still gonna, anything that's orange or yellow is gonna give us a good amount of vitamin C. So if you look here, I have about equal parts apple to persimmon there. And so that's what you guys wanna have. I'm gonna give you a couple more minutes while you do this.
Pretty.
Yeah, it is looking very, very pretty. This is a good fall salad. Give us like a thumbs up either in the camera just so we know you guys are okay at this point, and then we can move on.
What's your favorite salsa you've ever made, Allie?
I made a really good pineapple and cilantro salsa for fish one time, and there was jicama in it. It was really delightful.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was a good one.
It's delicious.
Yeah.
Josue is finished.
Okay.
Checking in. With the apple. Yeah, Jaylee's finished with the apple.
Okay.
So we're cruising.
We good?
Yeah.
Okay. So depending on what your onion looks like, you may have smaller pieces like this already. These are just, your smaller onion pieces. But I do want to show you how I suggest to cut an onion, something that I think is a little easier. So we have our full onion here, and I'm going to go ahead and cut off both of the little nubs on the end. We're going to peel off that outer layer anyway. So we'll do both sides. This is going to be a trick to kind of show you how to dice your onion too. And then I cut right, so both the ends are coming off, and then I like to cut right down the middle. And usually what happens, most recipes, unless I'm doing like fajitas, I'm usually only using half of an onion at a time. So this is a great way to store it. I have those little Tupperwares to put them in the fridge, but you could put it in a plastic baggie and it would save as well. And then I'm going to take off this top layer of the onion. Now, sometimes there's like a film. You want to get that film off too. That's just an inside layer of the onion. Okay, so we have our half, and then actually you can see just fine. What I like to do is I'm going to use the knife to move around the onion and work with the natural layers in there to get our small dice. So when I cut through, it is going to stay intact at the end here. So I'll kind of show you what I'm talking about. So I go in like this, but see, I'm not moving. The very, very end is still intact. And this is going to just help keep my whole onion together as I move across the onion. So we take our time in doing this. We'll see if I end up crying from this onion or not. And then just being smart, holding the onion. I can't do the claw and saw all the way over, but on the last couple pieces, I will hold it and just be very careful as I'm cutting. So like I said, this little piece at the end is still intact. The rest I could fan up if I wanted. This is like a bloomin' onion. That's how they do it. And then we're going to hold it tight and do one cut across the middle about halfway through. So it's still intact if you see that. Okay, now we switched our onion, rotated it a little bit here, and we're going to cut this way, and then it should give us a really nice sized dice for something like a pico de gallo, or if you're going to saute onions and garlic. So as you can see, I'm still doing the claw and saw. These fingers are holding these end pieces of the onion here so they don't fan out while I'm chopping. And then I'm still resting my knife on my knuckle to make sure I'm getting like a uniform size as I slice across. Do one more, and then I'm going to show you guys something. Okay, so as I break these up, this is obviously a little more onion than we need, but as I break this up, we can see that they all kind of break apart, right? Because there already are layers in the onion, and this keeps it a nice uniform size. And then we're really only stuck with chopping this part into the same size as the rest of them. So that's a little trick if you have a whole one. I'm going to go ahead and put like half of this in here. It's a lot of onion. And then we can do this also with the pieces that were provided from the cafeteria. If they didn't give you like a quarter that's intact or whatnot, you can still take these and just cut strips. That would be fine. Cut little strips and then rotate them so that we get like a nice even dice there. like that. And then we'll add them and go ahead and add them into your salsa and put a little bit of red in there too. Do you guys have any questions about the onion? Are we doing okay? Okay. All right, so the other thing we love about persimmons, they're super high in fiber. Anybody know what fiber does for us? Who's gonna say it? Who's gonna say what fiber does for us? So fiber makes sure.
Jamie says poop.
Yeah, exactly. It helps us poop. Thank you. It helps us poop. It makes sure our digestion is working properly. It goes in and it scrubs out any of the bad stuff that may be lingering around. All right. And it also helps us so that we have energy over a longer period of time. So it helps our energy from the carbohydrates last longer, which is really, really cool. So this just, our persimmons are little power punches here. Okay, so let's move on to the jalapeno. This is going to be a personal decision on whether or not you want to include the seeds or not. If you include the seeds, it probably will be a little bit spicier. Anyone who's had jalapenos in the past knows that they don't all taste the same. Some are spicier than others. So just something to consider. But we want to go ahead and remove that top either way because we can't eat that piece. Okay. And then if you have a whole one, slice it down the middle. I actually have one I can show you. So we'll remove the top. And then if you have a whole one, we're going to slice it down the middle like that. So it looks like this. Okay. And then we want to take out the membrane if we don't want the seeds and everything. So it's a little bit more difficult, but we want to cut away from our body. Always remember that. We don't want to be cutting towards us. So you can use the edge of your knife there to kind of just get that out. You could use your finger and just rip it out if you want. That would be fine too. Just don't rub your eyes afterwards. That would be my one suggestion. So I'm okay with like a little bit of seeds. So I'm going to get some of those in there. But yeah, it's up to you how spicy you guys want it. We'll get a little bit of spice from the actual jalapeno, but the seeds are usually what carries the heat. So we're going to go ahead and take this and cut this into strips, just as you would like a bell pepper for fajitas, a little mini guy, just how we did the little onion, right? And what we keep doing with everything is getting back to that same size to start with so that we can get the same size item in our salsa. So then we're going to go ahead and move across this, still using the claw and saw. And we have our nice, pretty jalapeno. If you wanted smaller pieces of jalapeno, you can. That's, again, a personal preference. I like jalapeno. I'm okay with having a bite of jalapeno. So it just is, it's up to you what you guys want. But you shouldn't necessarily have the same amount of jalapeno as you do persimmon and apple. It should be primarily persimmons and apples. And then we have some onion and we have some jalapeno. My persimmons are hiding on the bottom there. I think I got a little crazy with the onion. Okay, so we have our jalapeno. Now let's go ahead and add our cilantro. I like to pick the leaves off of my cilantro and not put in the stems. Again, it's a texture preference. It's not necessarily a taste preference because the cilantro stems will taste fine. If I was making a salsa in the blender, I would not be doing this. It's only because I'm doing like a pico style here. But go ahead and gently rip the leaves off the stems of your cilantro. Whoop. And all right. We're gonna roughly chop this cilantro to go into our salsa. The key with chopping greens like this is making sure you have a really sharp knife and letting the knife do the work. So when you're using a knife, the blade is curved and it's designed to rock. Like this is how the blade is supposed to work and it cuts. When we go straight down, the blade cannot do its job. So the key with chopping greens that are very delicate like this, or parsley or lettuce, in order to make it so it doesn't bruise, that's when it gets brown and starts oxidizing. The key is to let the knife do the work. So we're still gonna claw and saw, but I'm not gonna like grab my cilantro as tight. I'm gonna just let the knife do the work, and then I kind of toss it over, turn it over, and then we'll go back through again. So yes, it moves it a little bit all over the cutting board, but that way it's still nice and pretty and green, and the flavors stay at their peak. When it starts to turn brown, the flavors just dull a little bit. So that's how we keep it nice and pretty. I have a couple big pieces in there I'm viewing that I'm trying to. So if you see people chop really fast like this, even still, notice like I'm letting the knife like move and cut. I'm not just like staying in one position. So you guys are very quiet. Any questions?
Should we check in? Everybody show us what your...
Yeah, let's see how you guys are doing. Where are we at?
Can everybody show us your salsa so far? Mr. LaBelle's showing us. There it is.
Love it.
Oh, that looks good. He likes onions too.
Yeah.
And Christina showed us hers. Looks good. Haukea, that looks awesome. Beautiful.
Good job, you guys.
Daily, looks good. Who am I missing? How are you doing, Brianna? Calling on you.
I know.
How are you doing, Josue? So quiet. Are you guys making the recipe? Oh, he's doing it. Oh my gosh, you have so much jalapeno. Or is that your cilantro?
Maybe he likes it spicy.
You like the spice?
Yeah.
That looks good. It looks really good. Everybody's doing a great job.
Okay, so we're on the tail end here, guys. We're doing really, really good. You should have a little bag of dried cranberries, okay? What you're gonna do is, I think you'll be able to just dump your whole bag in. Let's see how much is in this thing. Oh yeah, that's like perfect. So go ahead and you guys can just dump the whole bag straight into your salsa. If you're afraid of the cranberries, taste one on their own if you'd like. They're very different than raisins. I think cranberries are like craisins like this are I think they taste better than the raisins. They just hold more of their juice than the grapes do when they dry them out. But it's a good sweetness that is added and tartness that's added to this salsa. So I will say you might be a little timid about it, but I think give it a shot because I think you'll be happy with the result. And then we have our lime. So we're going to take our lime and kind of roll it out on the cutting board here. This is just to get the juices like really flowing. I love lime juice, so I mean, I could use like 3 in here. I love lime juice. So we're going to take this one, and it should be able to, like, you can see it when you push down, and that's how we know it's like going to be ready to juice. And then we're going to cut it in half. Now what I like to do is to cut a couple times, like just inside, just to get it going. So kind of pierce it a little bit. And then if you had a juicer, you could use a juicer. That would help, and you'll get like maximum amount of juice out of there, and just squeeze it right into your salsa. And then make sure you turn it because sometimes it gets stuck. All right. Sometimes with these, I even like to, I like to pull some of the pulp off or cut the pulp off that's hanging out. Like I said, I really like lime, so I'm not afraid to use as much as I can. Or if you don't have those, you can use your hand. That'll work too. And we can still squeeze out just as much of the juice in there. Just try to get as much as you can. This is, again, if you have that pulp on the end, I like to go ahead and cut that off with my knife and then put that into the salsa there. Okay, and now we're going to season. So we're going to season with the salt. You do need a little bit of salt. See if you can find some. If you don't have any lying around, I promise it will still taste good and you can add it later. But the salt will just help bring out all the flavors a little bit more. So I am not a fan of over salting. So I like to start and then I can always add more if I need to. So I'm going to do like a hefty pinch, if that makes sense. A hefty pinch flick in there. And then we're gonna go ahead and stir up the salsa and mix it all together. So you should have your lime juice, your jalapeno, your persimmons, cranberry, everything should be in there by now. Okay. This is so pretty. Okay. All right. So here we go. It is made. It looks delicious. I'm really excited for you guys to try it. If you have a spoon on hand, go ahead and try it right now. And I want to hear your feedback on what you think. Miss Anna, would you mind opening the chips so we can try one? There's some in there. There's some in there. Next time we do a salsa, I need to have her put chips in the
bag.
In the bag.
In the box.
Okay, so let me grab a couple of these. I say to go ahead and try it and see how it tastes. And then the chip would be salty also, so keep that in mind. Crunchy, sweet, and then there's like a little bit of spice from that jalapeno, which I really, really love. I actually think mine is okay. I don't think it needs more salt, which I'm pretty happy about.
Yum, yum, yum.
If you feel like you're tasting the flavors, but not quite as much as you were hoping, then add a little bit more salt. That would be your cue to add a little bit more. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Ask if they like it.
Yeah.
I don't really care for persimmons. I just wanted to try something new, and I think it tastes really good, actually. So.
Is that Jaylee? So proud of you, Jaylee.
Good job.
Way to go for it. Sometimes certain foods, like first of all, our taste buds are constantly changing. Okay. So we have them die off. We grow new ones. That's why we don't want baby food anymore, but we liked it when we were a kid, right? So maybe why you like tomatoes now and didn't like them before. Anyway, our taste buds change. So it's always good to try something new and try it in a different form. One of the things I like to do with these students is like a broccoli, where I bring it in and we steam it and we roast it, and then we make a salad with it raw, because it tastes very different the 3 ways it's prepared. And you may really, really like one way and not care for another way at all. So it's really important to always give it a shot again and see what you think. I mean, it's not going to hurt you to try something new. And sometimes things are better just like in the meal versus, like I always think about this with mayonnaise. I'm not a huge mayonnaise fan, but there's some sandwiches that like need to have mayonnaise in it for the whole sandwich to work together. So it's usually worth like giving it a bite and seeing what you think about it. Thanks for sharing, Jaylee.
I'm muted. Christina, do you like it?
Yes, I actually had it last year. I believe you guys did this last year for staff at Pacifica, and it was amazing. So I wanted to make sure I was part of this class this time around. And my jalapeno was actually spicy. I know they could be hit or miss, and I love spice, so it just provides that right kick. So it's great. Thank you.
Good. Thank you for joining us. That makes me happy. Yes, we did offer this recipe last year, and the kids really enjoyed it. We've done a few different things with the persimmons. We also have taken this and blended it, like doing a blended salsa, and it still tastes delicious. If you're someone who prefers that style versus like a pico style like this, and all these ingredients still taste really good together.
Mr. LaBelle, did you like it?
I am not really a fruit salsa person, and I actually really, really liked it. I'm currently putting it on social media with a picture of it for you and tagging you on it. It's really, really good.
Thank you.
I love it. Such a good support. This is kind of like, you know, tomatoes are technically a fruit also, right? But this is like a more savory fruit. So I think that's why it works well in a salsa.
Yeah, and I'm cooking pollo asada this evening, so that's going to go perfect with it.
Yum. That'll be really good on it.
Hakeya, did you like it?
I've had it from when I got it from the cafeteria, but I like it making it myself better.
Love it.
Very
That's
good.
after my own heart right there.
Who haven't we heard from today? Alondra, did you like it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us, you guys. I'm really, really excited for you guys to be here. We miss you so much. We miss your faces. We miss working with you and being in the garden with you and feeding you. And we cannot wait till we can do it again. But this is our first go around at this, and we're going to just continue to build on using a little bit more, I guess, difficult recipes, but just adding to it. And we're going to work with the cafeteria as much as we can so that you guys can get those ingredients pretty easily. And we'll do another one next month in December. So keep an eye out. We will definitely be blasting it everywhere, right? To keep you in the know. And any suggestions or feedback, please feel, most of you guys have our emails or you follow us on social media, but just message us and let us know if you have feedback. Could you hear okay? Did I go too fast, too slow? Anything like that, we are all ears. We want this to be super user-friendly for you guys, and the more the merrier. So thank you so much for joining us. Any last words, Anna?
No, I think this was great. Thank you guys so much for joining us. This was fun. And like she said, we're going to do this again next month and until we're back at school.
Yeah.
And I think we're doing kale next month.
Yes. Kale. We're gonna we might do a couple recipes next month with the kale. We might get crazy. So but thank you for joining us, you guys. Have a great week off. Be safe, right? Make sure you're staying safe, and yeah, we'll see you soon.
This is an absolutely awesome thing for kids. So thank you very much for doing it. Very creative
Thank
out of
you,
the
Chef
box.
Ali.
Even keeps the old people happy here. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it. Probably not, but it's going in now. But it's on all of our social media. So thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lavelle. We love
Thank
this
you, Chef
support.
Ali.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Miss Jackson. Have a good day.
Thank you, Allie. Thank you, Anna.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, guys. Happy Thanksgiving.